Our next speaker is the current Attorney General of Pennsylvania, better known as Mr. Josh Shapiro. Working as a public servant for 20 years, Mr. Shapiro has endeavored to bring about reform in every aspect of Pennsylvania, from the criminal justice system to healthcare services, the LGBT community, women's rights, gun control, and environmental protection. Mr. Shapiro is the embodiment of bipartisan leadership and political progressivism and continues to defend the rights of local Pennsylvanians every day. Please lend your ears to Attorney General Josh Shapiro.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction. Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to be with you. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, Philadelphia. Assalamu alaikum. We are thrilled to have you here. I came here tonight for 3 reasons. Number 1, Dr. Farouk made me. Now, he asked me to come, and he's a dear friend, and when he asks you to do something, you do it. Number 2, I come from a medical family. My father, my uncles, my aunt, they're all doctors. And they were the people that I looked up to growing up. So, of course, I went to college to be a doctor just like them, and I ended up flunking out of pre-med and getting into politics. So anytime I have the opportunity to be around a group of physicians, I take that opportunity. I'm living vicariously through you. The 3rd reason, and in all sincerity why I'm here, is because I admire the important work that you do outside of your medical offices and in the community and across our country. I'm so grateful for the commitment you've made to the humanitarian mission and to service to all in our country and beyond our borders. I am truly grateful for your work, and I came here tonight to say thank you. You know, much of the work that I do as Pennsylvania's Attorney General are things that I know we're working on together. And I want to speak about just 2 issues before you hear from our next speaker. As I campaign to be the Attorney General of this Commonwealth, traveling all across the Keystone State, putting more than 62,000 miles on our minivan. One of the issues that is tearing apart families and claiming more lives in this Commonwealth than anything else is the heroin and opioid epidemic. This crisis claimed 900 lives in the city of Philadelphia last year. To put that into some context for you, we lost over 3,000 lives across the Commonwealth, 900 here. And we lost 300 lives to gunshot wounds, to gunshots. 300 to gunshots, 900 to heroin. As I ran to be the Attorney General, and now as Attorney General, I've made it clear that we cannot win this war simply on our street corners. But we have to win this war understanding having a different mentality. And that is that someone who is dealing drugs in our community is a criminal and needs to be locked up for some time. But someone who is suffering from addiction has a disease and needs to be treated. That is why I stand here tonight, as many of you do, grateful for the tremendous leadership of Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick, who opposed the health care bill in Washington because it actually cut funding, eliminated funding for drug and alcohol treatment to treat those very people who need it most to help us win this battle against heroin and opioids. In addition to that, I want you to understand that as I take this battle to our street corners, I am also taking it to doctors' offices and to the boardrooms of pharmaceutical companies. Because we have to acknowledge that with an overprescribing of opioid painkillers, we have seen a dramatic rise in people's dependence on heroin and the number of lives being lost. And so I both want to commend you for understanding this challenge and doing your best to meet it, and encourage you as you work here in the Commonwealth and as you go back to the other states across this nation, that you will do your part to help us turn the tide on this crisis. We are seeing it here in Pennsylvania and across this country, and you play an important part in this process to help us battle this crisis. The second thing I want to talk to you about tonight is that I made a commitment when I was sworn in as the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to protect people's rights. That fundamentally my job is to protect your constitutional rights and your legal rights as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I made it very clear that we would no longer tolerate people being oppressed because of what they look like, who they love, where they come from. That in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we would stand up and protect people's rights. I would protect it from a city council ordinance or from an attempted executive order by the President of the United States. And so, friends, a week into my term, that Friday afternoon, when the President of the United States put words down on paper that amounted to nothing more than his attempt to put a Muslim ban in place, a week into my term, I stood up and organized attorneys general from 17 states around this country, representing over 131 million Americans. And we took legal action. And ultimately, a court agreed with us and took the President's first executive order and put it on ice until eventually he stood up and rescinded it. You see, friends, we are better than what the President was trying to do. We are strong when we recognize our diversity is our strength. When we stand up and say that immigrants not only have a place in this country, but they are what makes this country strong. They are committed to helping make our healthcare institutions stronger in Pennsylvania. You know, there are 326 practicing physicians in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania who trained in one of those 7 nations where the President said those people are not welcome any longer. Do you know that at Penn State University, students from those 7 nations paid $11.1 million into higher education fees, tuition, room and board last year? Do you know that tourism here in the city of Philadelphia depends on people coming from one of those 7 nations? And so I believe it is critical now more than ever before that you lend your voice. And Congressman Fitzpatrick continues to lend his voice. And Senator Street continues to lend his voice toward the overall notion that we are stronger when we recognize our differences as being part of the great fabric of this American society. My job as your Attorney General is to protect your rights. Whether those rights are being put upon by a dealer on the street corner or the occupant of the White House. I take those responsibilities very seriously. I am inspired by the humanitarian work that you do in your communities and in your states. I am grateful to the fact that you have come here to Philadelphia to celebrate that. And I want you to know that I will continue to work with every fiber of my being to defend our way of life and to ensure that we are truly stronger working together. I'm grateful to you I thank you for having me tonight, and I will continue to be your partner and your friend. Thank you all very much. Thank you.